There's the poster board pattern for the boot cowl, the lower portion of the boot cowl on the right side. I've got it laid out on my sheet of 32 thousandths 2024 T3. The way I've got this planned is to make the boot cowl into three pieces. There'll be a right side that'll come from the middle of the bottom up the right hand side to just below the window, same thing on the left side, and then a top piece which will go, of course, across the top and come back over to the instrument panel. But I was kind of wondering if I could make this into 5 pieces instead, make each side 2 pieces, make the bottom piece come across the bottom, up around the curves, and up to where it intersects with the straight portion of this piece, and then make that one piece, make a panel to go in between it and the top piece. That would make 3 pieces. That way this middle panel could come out to get access in behind the instrument panel easier without taking the whole bottom piece off. It was just a thought. I'm going to go ahead and try, I'll cut it out here with this and try fitting this piece up and see how it looks once I get it fitted up. We've got the aluminum put up there. The pattern is still attached to it with masking tape, but it's on there. It's bent down there on that lower longeron where that goes around that relatively tight bend. We've got it out about 1/2 inch from the back side there where it goes over that Piper channel. It'll be trimmed up a little bit once it gets on there, but it's a pretty good edge already. The front is flush with the firewall. It's clamped up there and taped up to the front. I get my hole finder and start putting holes in there, and I've got to locate the holes back here in the back where it goes in the Piper channel, and then the front there attaches to the firewall. I can just measure out there and drill through that firewall flange and the boot cowl piece at the same time. That way those holes will be co-located, and then when I take that aluminum off there, then I can drill out the holes in the firewall and put the nut plates on there. First row of holes on this bottom are drilled and screws are put in. That'll hold that down while I rotate this fuselage and go up the side. Once it's in and all held down, and we'll start working on the firewall portion. All the holes into the nut plates in the Piper channel here are drilled, and screws are in holding this side down now. This is still going to be trimmed up here, down probably to about here, and then there'll be a flange bending that to stiffen that up. The boot cowl will come down over that and screw into this section here where the flange is. I'll put nut plates on the back side of there. Now I have to lay out a screw pattern there on the firewall, drill those holes with the number 40 drill bit, and put clecos in there and locate all those holes, and we'll take all this apart and put nut plates in there. This right panel is fitted up. Of course, I've got the back side of it there all screwed down into the nut plates on that Piper channel. The front portion, I determined that the flange on this firewall was 7/10 of an inch from the outside edge, the face of the firewall, to the back of the flange. So I measured 7/10 of an inch, and I corrected for where this flange overhangs the firewall here, where it's not flush to it yet. I corrected for that. Anyway, I run a line down there, marking the inside edge of that flange, and then I measured my nut plates, my number 8 nut plates, and I determined that 3/10 of an inch in from this inside edge of the flange would be the right spot to put the center of the nut plates on. So then I decided that these are going to be number 8 nut plates, number 8 screws. I could put those 3 inches apart. So I measured them 3 inches apart, 3/10 of an inch in, and I drilled a number 40 hole and put a cleco in each one of those as I went up. And once I got to the top up here, I went back over these holes one at a time with a 27 drill bit, which is a clearance drill bit for number 6 screw, because that's what size of nut plate jig I have, is for a number 6 nut plate. So I drilled all these holes out for a number 6 screw. Well, now we can take this off. I also determined where the top of this is going to be, and wound up cutting short this one screw. This is where the panel will overlap right here. The upper panel will overlap this panel here. So I left 1/2 inch up on top there, and then I'll have a 1/2 inch flange bent over. So this will be trimmed, and this flange will be bent over 90 degrees, and it'll be cut off right here on this line, and that'll stiffen that up. And then this line right here, we'll put a couple of nut plates on the back side of that for the upper panel to screw into this lower panel. The same thing on the middle of the bottom. This panel will underlay the left-hand panel, and I've done the same thing on it. I marked the center line of the fuselage there, front to back, and I run a line down that, and that'll be my screw line. And then the left-hand panel will overlap the right-hand panel here, and that'll be the attachment point. Will be right down the center line there. The right-hand section of the boot cowl is made up. I'm not going to say it's finished yet because you still have to put nut plates in it to attach the left-hand section and the top, but it's all on there, all shaped up. This is where the top section will attach here. It'll come down, overlap this, and so I folded that little edge in there. That stiffened that side up really good. And so this line right here will be between the two screws, and we'll put some nut plates in there to attach the top as it comes down and overlaps that. And then of course that panel that I made the other day will slide in underneath this and attach with these same screws. I run this through the bead roller here and just put a little bit of an edge on that, just roll that over just a little bit so that it'll fit tight against the panel. That also helps stiffen that up. And we did the same thing up here on the firewall. This just pretty much flush with that firewall there, and then this little roll just tightens right in against that firewall. I'll roll that over and show the bottom of it. Now this is a pretty, well, it's a smooth round bend as it goes around this lower longeron here, but that bend doesn't go all the way. Then it runs up to a larger radius bend up here. Well, I put this over that seat bar like I did the panel here, and just bent that over, but I just did it right on this corner here and back into about here. Then I just kind of rolled it, just massaged it a little bit here for this larger radius bend. Most of this bend is just made up of pulling the sheet around the edge of the firewall there, and then it's held down with the screws. So there wasn't a whole lot there on that one. This one was easy to do. This one was tougher to do. This panel goes in here. Will go right in here. The right-hand panel will go in here. So there'll be four panels overlap right here on this, underneath this one screw. So that one's going to be a tough one, but I folded a lip underneath that just like I did on the top. It goes across here, and then there'll be a line of screws. This will be the center line of the airframe right here, and put a line of screws right down there. And so this left-hand panel will overlap that one by an inch, something like that, and attach in here, and then be screwed into this lower right-hand panel right there.